what is it that I need to do to change? I have to change the situation. I'm not willing to stand for this anymore. This is not what I want. Therefore, I'm willing to explore change because what I'm doing now and what I've been doing for years is just not working. I must be insane to think that I can keep doing this and get anywhere different.
Welcome to the Haggai's podcast. Buckle up. This episode is brought to you by Cards Biz, a business card too good to give away.
I want to say that I'm very excited about this, okay? Because I had the chance of watching you speak at least 3 times, right? And lots of this time. And beside the fact that you're fascinating, interesting woman, right? And charming and all that. I see you blushing already as I'm saying
Yes.
it. EOS and your passion to improve companies, and I know this sounds a bit like a superlative, but this is kind of what I feel every time we talk as an entrepreneur and as a person who screwed up operations multiple times in his life and still hopes to learn to do something I find fascinating. I find it fascinating. But before we go into what the heck is EOS, which I think people will find really valuable, it's like, Esther, who are you?
Who am I? Wow, I am just a growing professional who's serious about helping people, is serious about reaching my own potential, helping others do the same. And I'm also a person who just likes to share gold. You know, when I find something, I just want to share it with people. And, after 20 years of running businesses, frustrated like you also, like, why can't I figure this out? Why can't it just be easy? I found EOS and I just want to share it. So that's really who I am. I'm someone with a pot of gold that just wants to give it out.
Okay, so let's start with the pain part, okay? Because something you alluded to that was this magical thing that makes everything easy.
Well,
but before we get to that, can you kind of share about your professional journey? How
sure.
did you as an entrepreneur, as an operator, what was the path that you took?
Sure. Okay, so my career started in magazine publishing. Growing up, I had always had an affinity for magazines. I don't know why. It's just unexplainable. I just loved them. And somehow I was able to get a college degree in English and journalism. And I was like, wow, I think I'm on the path to have a great career in magazines. Let's try this out. And so I did. I really went for it. And I had a really successful career in America. I'm obviously American. You can hear it, living in Israel. But I ran 4 different magazines. I founded one of them. And I just really spent about almost 14 years just trying to be, the top magazine publisher in my fields. And, after a while, I just got to the point where I felt like I had hit a ceiling personally, just personal ceiling in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted something more than just being the best at my current career. I wanted something more for my life. So I went on a spiritual journey and decided that I really just wanted to live in Israel. I wanted to live, a more Jewish life. So I just gave up everything I had. I sold my house, sold my BMW, I got rid of all the materialism that I had, almost all of it. And I, just put it all in one small suitcase and moved my whole life to Israel. And I started over. And when I got here, I started a book editing business because that was just the easiest, most, natural way to just restart my life. And I did that. I ran a small book editing business for several years, got married, had children. And then again, at a certain point, hit another ceiling. And at that point, I knew a lot of people and I was recruited because of my business background. I was recruited to run 2 entrepreneurial digital media organizations. I knew right away going into these organizations that they were so chaotic, so just underperforming. They were so so successful, great reputations, and just doing wonderful, amazing work, but they were not running anywhere near their capacity. It was just chaotic entrepreneurial flying mess, which is the most, what most entrepreneurial businesses look like. So I put in my own version of an operating system, as a natural operator and understanding how to run a business. I put in some infrastructure that just was not there before. But no matter how hard I worked, no matter what I did, it just wasn't good enough. It was never well oiled. I was constantly frustrated. The team was constantly frustrated. We weren't healthy. We had a hard time making decisions. Haggai, we could not stay on the same page. We had no idea where we were going. It was just very, very hard. Bunch of really smart, passionate people who just
Sounds to me like a normal company.
Right? Just so totally normal. And now that I'm working with multiple businesses at the same time, I just see it over and over again. So normal. A bunch of amazingly intentional, passionate people who just cannot get it together, cannot figure out how to get on the same page, how to stay on the same page. It's like such a shame. Anyway, that was us. And we found out about EOS. One of our donors actually told us about EOS. And so we hired an implementer from Europe because there was no one in Israel doing it. And I went through the EOS process. And I saw what it was and what it did. After a year, we were totally transformed, completely. 3 years in, we had 10x. It was incredibly powerful. And so I said to myself, after having realized wow, this is truly powerful, I hit another ceiling. And I said to myself, I have to actually go do this now and bring this to Israel. It's not okay that it's not here in mass. So I took another entrepreneurial leap, another 10x leap for myself, and I became an EOS implementer. And that's how I spend most of my time now. Yeah. Helping other business leaders, who are just like me.
I think sure we're building the curiosity of everybody. What the heck is EOS? So people know. But before we jump into that, I want to kind of let people kind of know you better, because you're clearly a spiritual person, and you even mentioned that you kind of put aside a lot of commercial and things aside. You said you sold your BMW. Now, but at the same time, as a spiritual person, as somebody who has put aside a lot of commercial goods aside, you're basically helping people be better capitalists in many ways. And so how and again, this is not a critique, of course, but it's a very interesting thing. How do you balance those things? Or how does that kind of live in your philosophy, in your personal philosophy?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, when you said I help people become better capitalists, I don't actually look at it that way. I feel like I help people get what they want in their life. It's not just about business. An entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, right? What gives you the feeling of success? Is it just the bank account? Is it just the number in the bank account? Or is it the whole idea of that you've built something of value, you're enjoying it, you're seeing impact in the world because of it, the ideas that you've brought into reality are really affecting people. You're doing it with enjoyment and satisfaction. You're not coming home frustrated and angry and at yourself or others. I feel like that's what I help people do. It's not just about the capitalism. I feel like entrepreneurs have just all this energy and these ideas. They're like light bulbs that just want to shine. And I just sort of just plug them in, and it's not just about the money. Does that make sense?
Well, I want to choke up, Esther. So on a personal level, it resonates. I always say that struggling entrepreneurs are like struggling artists, but with maybe the more potential for financial reward, but less potential for societal recognition. That's kind of that has been kind of my stance, because and it's not that you have to be a tortured artist to be a good artist, in the same way you don't necessarily have to be a tortured entrepreneur to be a successful entrepreneur. But I think that I think there's a quote by Elon Musk saying that entrepreneurship is chewing glass, and
Mm,
a lot of time, and I say, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. The chewing
It
glass
feels like
thing
that
is,
sometimes. It feels like
yeah,
that.
it sure does. But I feel like the chewing glass is really, we chew a lot of glass when we get tired and we say to ourselves and we just give up and we say to ourselves, you know what, I'd rather chew glass than do the hard thing. It's really, it just gets us down
Okay, so
when
what is the hard thing? And I know we're going to talk about the US, but so it's like what is hard? So what is the hard thing?
um, I mean, I think for most entrepreneurs, the hard thing is dealing with people, is dealing with their people issues.
Dealing with
Because
people.
dealing with people, because the entrepreneur has this idea, starts building this business, it's their baby, and then they have to bring in other people at a certain point because they can't do it themselves and they want to grow, and so then they have to let go of the baby, start letting go, and then watch other people drop the baby or break the baby or not run with the baby. And then it's like, my gosh, and the whole chewing glass thing is like when you're looking around your business and you see a bunch of people who you are just like, how did they get here? Like, how, I don't think these are my people. I'm not
Mm.
sure. I'd rather chew glass
So
than
when you
pass
say
the torch along.
people, you mean internally
Yeah,
in the company.
thanks.
So
I
so when
think
you
so.
say people, you mean internal in the company. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, I just feel like that's
So
just the
why is it?
hardest,
Why is it so hard? Why
because
is it so hard for entrepreneurs to do that?
to do what, to make sure that they're surrounded by the right people. I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Why
think,
is it so hard?
well, I'm not sure, that every entrepreneur has, the same reasons of why it's so hard. Uh, People, we come with a lot of emotions. Business can be crystal clear in our heads. Yes, we want to go from point A to point B, and this is how we want to do it, and this is who we need to do it. So go and do it. But it doesn't really work like that in real life. The journey of getting from point A to point B can be very messy. And, you know,
Mhm.
we have to navigate not only our own behaviors, but when we're in a business, running a business full of people, we have to sort of navigate other people's behaviors as well. And it just gets muddy and rocky, and it's hard. It's just hard. I feel like it's a human condition. We have this vision in our head, we see it clearly, we think the road is going to be paved beautifully with silk, and it's not. It's just rocky and bumpy, and it's just dealing with trying to get all the people to what we call like above the line. Are we behaving
Above the
above
line.
the line? Are other people behaving above the line? How can we all remain above the line so that we can at least navigate the bumps, in the smoothest, easiest way possible? And it's just hard. It's hard managing our own emotions and
Mhm.
behaviors, let alone, a company full of others. I'm sure that, other entrepreneurs, many
Uh, uh,
entrepreneurs listening to this may say, you know what, that's not my issue. My issue is like, I just need to go find money. That's what gives me a headache. But
mm.
I just see it over and over again. The most common issue that I do see working with a lot of entrepreneurs is, how do I get a group of human beings just pointed and rowing smoothly in the same direction and enjoyably, and like getting where I want to go already? Like, why can't I do this?
I'll add something, and this from my personal experience to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll add something from my personal experience to your statement. So I really agree that human beings is tough. Human beings are complex. They have emotions, they have opinions, and all that.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that I at least used to find very difficult, and I think I'm doing a better job today, I hope, is that as an entrepreneur, when I see a candidate, okay, or when I see a person with certain skill set, certain background, my initial thought process is what Haggai would do in this role with those skill sets without background. And that's bad
Yeah.
because other people are not me. and sometimes it's sorry, maybe it's an excellent thing, right? And also both ways, right? Because sometimes you need somebody with a totally different perspective than you to do the role, and at the same time, somebody with the same skill sets background will not work as hard or will not
Right.
grasp the same things, or at least not without specific training, and so on
Right.
and so on. And that's always what creates a distance. So at least I can add to it that that's always been kind of a mental barrier for me when I'm hiring people, and I need to, and I've learned to stop saying what would Haggai do, but ask myself what would Jennifer do, what I think
Mm,
would Jennifer do in
mm,
this role and
mm-hmm,
under these circumstances to the best of my
mm,
ability.
beautiful.
So I think we teased people enough. So what the heck is EOS? What is
Go ahead.
this? What is this religion and cult we keep talking about?
It's funny. It's definitely not a religion. It's definitely not a cult, but I have heard that before because once people understand and really embrace it, they don't want to let go. So it is a little weird. I can say it is a community at this point, but what the heck is
Mm-hmm.
EOS? Just very, very simply in the fewest words, and then I can expound, is that it is just a system for managing human energy. Really, that's what it is. It comes down to what are the humans doing? Like I said before, I'll just expound a little bit. Like it is a framework consisting of practical
Mm-hmm.
tools, practical, simple tools, okay, and concepts that help a group of human beings go from point A to point B in the most efficient, effective way possible. Okay. That is basically what it is. It's like if you look at your computer, if you have a Mac,
Mm-hmm.
do you have a Mac or a
Yeah.
Windows,
So,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So whatever it is, there's an
I have a
operating
Mac. I have
system
a
for your
Mac. I am a victim of Steve Jobs' legacy. Yes.
good for you, victim. You're hooked in there. So there's an operating system, the iOS, the Mac iOS, and
Yes.
in order for you to do anything, to navigate anywhere, you need this thing running underneath, right? It's running underneath. You don't even think about it. It's this thing running underneath whatever you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
accomplish in the computer, right? It's like Windows also. You click here, click there, boom, boom, boom. This is how you operate. It's this operating system. That's what EOS is. It's an operating system. So it like runs below the business. What you're doing is plugging in all your people, all your data, right? Meaning I have a group of people. I want to go there. I need to figure out how to get there. Okay. Once I determine what that destination is, now I'm going to decide what work has to happen in order to get there, who has to own parts of the work to get there. They have to actually make sure that the work is getting done in order to get there, and how to figure out what to do when something isn't getting done, how to solve those issues if something's not getting done on the way to get there. And that's all it is. It's running underneath it. So it's just this framework for how to just move your people and get
Mm-hmm.
where you want to go, right? Just smoothly,
Okay.
effectively, easy. I shouldn't say easy, easier. There's nothing easy. There's nothing easy about business, but it's
Easier.
easier,
No,
a
no,
lot
no
easier.
free lunches. No free lunches. No free lunches.
Absolutely.
Or dinners for that matter. All right. But so we're kind of hinting on all the things that it's good for. Okay. But what is it not good for, or who is it not? What is it not good for, and who is it, and for who is it not good for?
Beautiful. Okay. It's not good for helping a leader get all of their flunkies in line. Okay. It's not about like this system
Okay.
so that so I have a way of making sure that everyone does what I say at all times. It's not a weapon for command and control type of leadership at all, because what it does is
Mm-hmm.
create
Mm-hmm.
a healthy, cohesive leadership team, right? Like you were saying before, we have people with different
Yeah.
perspectives. How do we get from point A to point B in the best possible way? Well, if it's my way or the highway, it's not going to work. It's not going to demand my becoming my best. And that's what EOS does demand. It demands you to be open and honest It demands you to create a cohesive, functional, healthy leadership team who is going to go with you on the journey to your destination. So if you just want some kind of way to just like, okay, everybody do this, do, it's not going to work for you. It's not for you at all. Avoid it. Avoid it because it's going to bother you if you were like
and
that.
in terms of this, yeah. So first of all, so it's not for somebody that wants a command and control. It's not somebody that has a centralized communist, but dictatorship kind of
Right.
process. It's not necessarily for them. But what are the different types of companies? Does it work for any type of company or business, NGO,
Gotcha.
biotech thing? Or every stage of a company?
Yes.
Is it
Good.
for product market fit stages? Like, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. It is built for the sweet spot of who really just can fly with it, is a company that's around 10 to 250 employees. So we're not talking about like pre-seed or seed stage. We're talking about a company that has product market fit, already is at a certain size. They have enough bandwidth to actually think about how to do things better, not how to actually just jump into the market and create product market fit. Because if a company's at that stage, they need all of their energy, all their focus on getting product market fit. So if that's where you are, don't worry about EOS yet. Get your product market fit and then start doing EOS. And then you can, start to really see, major transformation from there. But having said all of that, even if you are a company that has product market fit and you are not growth oriented, you are not willing to change, you love your command and control, and you are not willing to be open and honest and vulnerable, then please stay away, because it's going to smoke out those issues very clearly and you will be uncomfortable with what you see. It's not for you if that's who you are.
So, and I'll tell you, and I know we have talked about this in the past, and I personally know people that have said that working with you even a bit has really changed the business in a significant way. So, in my head, when I hear that, because I don't think anybody's really open. I know maybe you are, maybe there are very open people, but in my head, when I hear you say that, I think it's like, but the pain is this big. The pain is so big that it outweighs mine or somebody's unwillingness to listen or to explore new values, because you're either in such emotional pain or you're such emotional frustration that you're leaving money on the side, growth aside, things like that you're willing to suffer, to let your ego suffer in a way. Would you say that's fair? Maybe not that PC, but it's a fair description.
Yes. There's definitely, I think entrepreneurs just suffer all the time anyway. Like we were talking before, we are like a suffering bunch, the tortured artists, tortured entrepreneurs. But I think that there does have to be a level of frustration, but I'm not sure that the suffering has to be so deep, but the frustration is, when a person says, I'm working so hard, but I'm spinning my wheels and not getting anywhere. Like I'm done with not getting anywhere. What is it that I need to do to change? I have to change the situation. I'm not willing to stand for this anymore. This is not what I want. Therefore, I'm willing to explore change, because what I'm doing now and what I've been doing for years is just not working. I must be insane to think that I can keep doing this and get anywhere different. So it's kind of like it's kind of like that. Yeah, you do have to reach a certain point where you're like, okay, it's change.
I'm going to cry, Esther. I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. It resonates to somebody. I'll tell you. So there's. Yeah. So what did you say, Esther? Can you repeat?
No, I was just going to say it's like our health.
Please.
When you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, I haven't worked out in 5 years. I'm getting older. My body does not feel good. I have no energy. Like I'm done. I want to feel good. What do I have to do? Oh my gosh, I have to go on a diet. man, that is so hard. I hate diets. Okay, but if I want to feel better, maybe that's what I have to do. You know what I mean? It's that same thing. You just, but
Yeah.
you get to a point where you're like, I can't wait to start the diet. I'm done with this. I'm just done. Let's go. Let's be great already. I'm ready. Let's move.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And you're literally pounding the table. You're literally pounding the table in enthusiasm. Let's do it.
Let's do it. That's all it takes. That's all.
It was. Yeah. I'll give you an association that kind of fits here. And I've never read the teaching of the Buddha, but there's a quote that supposedly the Buddha said, and that is, pain in life, that you cannot avoid pain, but you can avoid suffering. Like pain is pain. You can, it's unavoidable, but suffering is, in a way. It's like if it has its tribulation. Life, business is never going to be easy, but how you handle it and how you approach it, that's in your control.
100%. 100%. That's a good thing.
So what is it?
What is it?
What is it, Esther?
What is what?
Yes, what is it? What's the components? What does it take?
Oh, okay. So what is like? What does it look like?
Yeah, yes. What it teaches, what it demands from an entrepreneur and a business owner.
Basically, it helps an entrepreneur look at their business as a whole through a very different lens. Okay, it's getting you to understand that your business is made up of 6 key components, not just your business, but any business. It's really all businesses have the same 6 key components. All businesses have vision, like where they want to go. This is what we want to accomplish, this is where we want to go. All businesses need people to actually get there. All businesses need to look at results, need to measure results. So there's data component. All businesses have issues. If you don't have issues, then you're dead. You're not alive, right? So it's how are you managing your issues? All businesses have a way of doing what they do. So there's a process component to a business. All businesses have to execute on their vision. So we call that traction. So these are the 6 key components. And it just gets you to understand, first of all, that this is my business. It's holistic. And all of my issues that I have are fall into these 6 key components. They're just weaknesses in the 6 key components. So if I can strengthen the 6 key components, then I can really get to where I want to go. I could take that group of human beings from point A to point B smoothly, effectively, efficiently, and really get what I want. So we teach the 6 key components.
So let's just recap. So it's, I just want to recap it. So it's vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction.
Exactly. Beautiful. You're okay. A good student.
I have a good sensei. So let's or a good rabbi in this case. It's a better analogy. So what is? Let's go one by one so people understand. Like, what is vision? Because and I remember. So I'll push back on vision in a second. Okay. So when IBM did its turnaround, I forgot the name of the CEO who took over IBM, and he wrote the book Elephants Can Dance, and he managed to turn around IBM in the days that IBM was big, and I'll remember his name later.
My brother works for IBM.
But I remember when he took over IBM, as it was basically going from this, then they were the Google of its time, and then they were basically breaking down, and reporters came and said like, what's your vision? What's your vision? And he says, he basically something like that. We don't need vision, we need execution, right? So there are people who would say vision is no. What he meant is don't. I like to give him credit. What he meant is like, I need to do the work, and I'll give you words. But there are people that hear that and say, like, don't bother me with dreams, and don't, like, I'm going to do it at night when I'm sleeping. Like, why do I need a vision? Why is that important?
Right. It's funny that you brought up this example, because we say all the time, it's one of the it's one of our mantras that vision without traction is hallucination, right? It is important to have a vision. You should have a picture of where you want to go, what you want to be, okay? But if you don't have the tools to execute, then it's just a dream. So this CEO was probably like, don't talk to me about the vision. I need to focus on my traction right now. Like, don't bother me, So I can totally resonate with his frustration at that question and just like, it's not about vision. Like, don't talk to me about vision. But what is vision? Why is vision important? If a person, just like talk about a human for a second, if a person doesn't have, a vision of who they want to be, who they want to become, then every day, what is the purpose of waking up every day? What is existence for? What are we doing here in this world? We are here to grow. We are here to develop, to refine ourselves, to reach our potential, right? So vision is just an expression of your potential. What is it that you're building? This is a business. What is it that I'm building? And the truth is, Haggai, like companies that we work with don't really have an issue with vision. It's meaning they have too much vision.
Mm-hmm.
The entrepreneur has one picture. It's like the owner or the leader, the CEO, the visionary has a vision for sure. And every single other person in the team also has a vision, but it's totally, going in a different direction. It's a slightly different picture, but that means everybody's running in different directions. And then there's chaos. So the vision component is just about getting crystal clear on the picture. Just get it clear. It all starts with clarity. You are not going to get anywhere if all of your human energy is rowing in different directions. You're just not. So we just okay, let's get clear on what that vision is so that we can go together.
So what's too much? You said too much vision. What's too much vision, and what's good vision?
Yeah.
What does good look like? What does good vision look like?
Good means crystal clear. That's all. Everyone has an idea of where they want to go. Okay, what's my picture? Where am I going? What's my destination?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not crystal clear, written down, shared, and understood by every single human in your company, then there's going to be too much vision, meaning all the humans in your company are going to be either going that way or that way or that way. They're all going to be pointed in different directions. And so that means too much, meaning look at all this, look at all these pictures. I tell my teams, imagine a puzzle, 1,000-piece puzzle, okay, on the table. All right. You're standing around this table with your leadership team. There's 1,000 pieces. And you tell your team, okay, ready, guys? This is what we're doing. We have to put this puzzle together. Okay. That's the job. And they're like, great. Where's the picture?
Yep.
Where's the box? Leader says, I don't have the box. Okay. You know how the box on the picture? Yeah, that's the picture. There's no box. Okay. I don't have the box, but here it is. Okay. Ready? We're at the beach. There's blue water. Okay. Blue sky. There's some clouds. It's a nice day. It's a sunny day. And there are a couple kids, on the beach building a sandcastle, and there's some birds. It's just a beautiful day. Okay. It's a beautiful day at the beach. Ready? Go. Put it together. So everyone's going to be like, oh, okay. They're picturing the beach. They're picturing it. Every single person has a different picture in their head. Okay, go. And now you're looking at how are you putting the pieces together? Everyone's going to be just like, shoving pieces together. And that's basically what happens in the company. The leader is like, okay, everybody, like, we want that. Okay. But it's not crystal clear. It's like they all have a different picture. I'll give you an example. Here's a story for you. I have a client. It's a high-tech company. They're building some AI, a new AI awesome product. And they have to launch their MVP by the end of the month. So the leader's like, this is the MVP, everybody. Like, this is what we're building. He hires all these people. This is what we're building, right? Go build it. He hires a CTO to manage the engineers who are building it, right? But the CTO doesn't have exactly the same picture in his head as what the product is supposed to look like. So at the end of the month, when it's launch time, there's actually a month before the launch, the CEO says, okay, where are we? Where are we holding? And the team is like, well, we're here. And he's like, why are you here? We need to deliver that. We've already signed up people to buy that. And so why? Because they had a different picture. They had a different picture in their head. It wasn't crystal clear. The product itself wasn't crystal clear. So it has to be crystal clear.
So
and it
let
has to
me
be
kind of add.
Yeah.
It has to be crystal clear, but I want to ask you, like, so what's the difference between vision and project, basically project alignment? Like, what's the difference between that and, like, because somebody hearing that story, I mean, I by the way, I've experienced some of the things, so I can relate. And anybody that hearing it and say, how is that possible? I tell you, trust me, it's possible. I've seen it 1,000 times. I've experienced it 1,000 times. But let's put this aside. What's the difference between project alignment, basically, let's say execution alignment, and vision alignment? Well,
right.
What's the nuance between those two things?
It's like I feel like it's the difference between the what and the how. Okay. If you're not clear on the what, then the how, the how is in like the details of, the project on the project level. But if the project level doesn't match the what it is, then you're very busy. You're very busy over here running projects that are not resulting in the what it is that you wanted to accomplish. Difference between strategies and tactics and all of these things. But the vision is really, it's all about, what we are put on this earth to do. Okay. Let's get crystal clear on what is our why. Let's get crystal clear on our niche, where we play, where we are the best in the world, what we do. Okay. Then let's get crystal clear on what our long-term vision looks like, where we're going in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, right? And then let's break that down into what we need to look like in 3 years so that everyone is aligned and pointing in the same direction. So it's just getting that whole picture crystal clear. If everyone in your company understands the picture, has the exact same picture, this is what the beach looks like, right? And understands where they're sitting on the beach, what they're doing on the beach, right? How their role actually contributes to helping you get or achieve this vision, then you're going to be strong in vision. Anything less than that, it's not good. To answer your question, what's good and not good?
It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. So let's talk about the dreaded people. I mean, we started this whole conversation that but the hardest thing for entrepreneurs is people. I don't know if we had sound effects, we would put like a dreaded soundtrack in the beginning. So people. What's the people component? How do you approach, and how does EOS approach people?
We learned a lot from Jim Collins, okay, in his book Good to Great and Built to Last. I don't know if you know Jim Collins. You probably do. Jim Collins is famous for saying that you have to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. So we boil the people component down to two things: having the right people in the right seats. Okay, you have to have both. If you really want to achieve your vision, you have to have the right people in the right seats. And this is it could be like a big open chasm of issues if you're not crystal clear on what a right person looks like and what a right seat looks like. Okay, they're like two different kinds of aspects to getting the people component right in your business. So we teach that a right person is someone who shares and consistently embodies your core values, your unique core values to your business. Because the way that people behave in your business determines the culture that you have, whether it's going to be a healthy, thriving culture where you're going to be surrounded by people who really, really share what you hold dear and live it, and their behaviors are dictated by these same shared values. Or you're going to be surrounded by people who don't, and then you're going to have pockets of toxicity in your business, right? And you're going to be constantly like dealing with people issues, behavior issues, destructive kinds of behaviors. That's right people. Share and consistently embody your core values. So you have to be crystal clear on your core values. That's a big piece of work. And then over here, right seat is just figuring out what work needs to happen consistently at a high level, day in and day out, to actually execute your vision. So you have to have an understanding of the functions that you need executed in your business, crystal clear. Clarity is everywhere. Crystal clear on the functions that you need executed, and then crystal clear on what that person needs to do in that function, what they need to be accountable for doing consistently at a high level. So it makes it much easier. Once you have clarity on the work and the functions that need to be present in your business, then you can hire better. Then you can actually hire people who actually can do this job. So, we help people figure out how to do that, how to clarify the seats and the functions, and how to make sure that they're putting the right people in those seats. It's a big piece of work, and we have some tools to help them do it. And it's really these tools and the people component. I always tell my teams, these tools are your best friends, right? That I always tell them, structure the way you structure your business, what seats and functions that you clarify that you need. That is a strategy. That's a growth strategy. So
Yeah.
the people component is about how you're growing, how you're executing. It's a foundation for everything, of actually getting where you want to go.
And I know from our previous conversations that a key component that is like looking at the person in two key dimensions, which is right person, right seat, wrong person, wrong seat, and vice versa, and the same thing. Is that correct? Would you say that is kind of the core, I don't know, four-piece metric that you need to kind of look at?
Yeah. Bottom line is you need both. Right person, right seat. If you have an issue with someone, you have to get clear. Is this a right person issue, or is this a right seat issue? Right? Because you have to
Yeah.
have both. So companies are, inundated with people issues that could either be we have the right people in the wrong seats, or we have the wrong people in the right seats. And both of those issues are difficult to deal with. But the hardest one is to have a wrong person in the right seat, because that's somebody who is not behaving
Yes.
consistently according to your core values. They're destructive behaviors. This is where, the chewing glass comes in. You'd rather chew glass than, meet this person in the hallway. But they're great at their jobs. It could be your best sales.
And also a lot of time it's a reason for toxicity. It's also
Yes.
So even if the person is so again, from personal experience, I can say this. It's like, oh, they're not a bad person, they're skilled, but they're in the wrong, but they're the wrong person for this company, let's say.
Yeah.
Because and they're in a seat, they have skills too, and that causes resentment and toxicity. And so people listening, I can tell you, I've learned to develop zero tolerance for toxicity. And it took me years to
Wow.
That's one of the worst things.
Good for you.
One of the things that, unless I've learned, I don't know what your experience is one of the things that's very, so, if it's a bad person and they're toxic, I wouldn't say it's easy, but you can rationalize that to yourself and it's an easy execution. But even quote unquote good people, decent human beings can be very, very toxic because there's a mismatch between between them and the company. And they're very frustrated. They're very, very frustrated.
Yes.
And that comes out in resentment. And resentment is like a disease. It's like a COVID bug that wants to jump again and again and again. It's basically eroded the roots of a company. And I can say that from a personal experience.
Yes, very, very well said. And I think, you are definitely not alone. And it really just starts with the core values. Again, crystal clarity on what those values are. What are the values that you will hire and fire for, right? Like, what are you going to fire someone for? Like, what will you absolutely not tolerate? Are you clear on that? What are you clear on the values and the behaviors that are going to enable someone to thrive in your organization? Can you articulate those clearly in the hiring process? I tell my teams, once they define their core values, we create what's called a core value speech, and they use it. They use the core values every day to hire, fire, review, reward, and recognize their people. That is how you're creating the culture, this healthy culture that you want. So if you are in the middle of a hiring process and you've seen, you've done all your due diligence, okay, they seem to be a right person fit. We've asked all the questions. We're as clear as we can be over there. They definitely fit the seat requirements. Okay, they seem to be right seat. We've done all our due diligence. I always tell my teams, before you say, here's the contract, we want you, here's the contract, sit them down and say, let's go over the core values again. Okay, again, ready? Because here's your last chance. We want you, but here's your last chance to run. Because if this is not you, then you're going to be miserable here. You're just going to be miserable. It's not going to work. So is this really you or not? And, these tools just, and this clarity just helps the hiring process so much.
So I'll add something to that has worked, that again, I aspire to do, and that is actually the application process should have elements of the core values. So, and I'll give an example. So, for example, one of the core values of my organization is adaptability. Okay, adaptability. So, when I hire people, when my team hire people, we never look at CVs. We ask them to walk through an application process. We have an application process. So the application process tries to do two things. One, basically give elements of the person's job. So we put a lot of effort to think about, so let's say this is somebody that's going to have to write emails. Okay, we literally ask them to write an email. Okay, and then emails, right? Certain things, and then we change elements in a nice way, right, to see how they adapt. One of our core values is grit. So we actually have to count 4 to 5 steps to the final interview. 4 to 5 7 steps. And again, we communicate everything, because if you do not have grit, you're not going to have the willpower to make it. We also, one of our core values is assertiveness. So we actually throw the responsibility on the follow-up to the applicant. We tell them, hey, to know if you move to the next stage, talk to us on this day. Okay, now we don't do this to be assholes. We're not doing it to this, and we're trying to be very upfront to this, but we're trying in a very, very small way to kind of create the application process to mimic the work and the type of behavior we expect people to do. Because if they don't follow up, they're not assertive in our view. Okay, they're not assertive. Now we don't twiddle a thumb and just ghost them or something like that. We say, hey, by Monday 8 p.m. please communicate with us, and you'll know what's the next stage. If somebody doesn't do that, we say, hey, yeah. Now, of course, somebody said my grandma was hit by a truck, whatever, can we do it later? Fine. And so we're proactive about it.
So is it working for you? Is that working for you?
Yes, 90%. And also to the point, but I also believe that the first week, month of somebody's job is a job interview. Because again, nobody's perfect. And also, in the conversations I have usually with applicants, it's a two-way conversation. I'm saying, look, yes, I'm interviewing you. You need to interview me too. You have to interview us, because I don't want miserable people. I don't want miserable people. And again, by the way, this is not to say that I'm perfect in front of us. I'm not EOS perfect in a way, but this specific thing, this process, especially junior to mid individual contributors. Let's put this, anybody that's an individual contributor, but you can actually kind of have a conversation about the output, and you can define the outputs, and you can give tasks and exercises that actually measure the individual output. You can have basically basically a game, you can mock up demo the relationship, and it gives 90%. 90%.
Okay, it sounds like a very innovative way, to design your hiring process in a way that gets you the highest clarity on, is this person going to be the right person in the right seat? And that's phenomenal. Yeah. I always tell my clients, you should have a set of interview questions based on your core values, right? Or interview application process, whatever it is, whatever your process is, so that you can tease out everyone, no matter what seat. Is this person going to be a core values fit? Whether it's going to be, a set of behavioral questions or some kind of, process that they have to go through. It should be the same for everyone.
Yeah.
In that regard, right? It should only change.
Yes.
Should only change depending on the seat. You have other things for the seat dependent, but core values should be uniform. This is what we're putting everyone through, non-biased. Everyone goes through this same kind of thing, and then you'll get clarity as to who will fit and who won't, who will thrive and who won't. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, you bring your own genius.
And I'll add one more. I'll add one more thing. So, as you know, I'm part of the EO organization, the entrepreneurs organization, and I literally had 2 conversations with 2 entrepreneurs the past 2 weeks around, they were sharing the hiring challenges. And basically the conversation was, but he has all this experience, but he's great, but he has all this knowledge. And both of them ended because they were, one of them was actually using EOS, and I think the other person is aware of EOS, and they said, right person, wrong seat. That was the little...
Nice.
So, and I found, and if anything else, guys, it's anybody who's listening, I think that's one of the most useful things you can take away, you can use now. If you think about the person, is it the right person? Is it the right seat? And that's it's I don't know, it's one of the easiest thing to mentally implement, but it solves so many dilemmas about, am I hiring a person? Should I keep this person? It's basically, is this person meet my values? Does this person have the skill sets for the job, or what are my expectations? And then, is the seat that he's sitting in relevant? So, for example, if he's a 20-year-old, 22 decades experienced CFO, but he doesn't know how to do bookkeeping, and you're a small company but needs bookkeeping, he might be a wonderful person. He just can't do the job that you want. And vice versa. Hashtag true story. Hashtag true story.
Really, this happened to you. No, that's beautiful. You don't know how much, I want to say nachat. It gives me so much joy to hear, that people are saying, okay, right person, wrong seat, or vice versa. It's really so heartwarming, because it's just these things at EOS, when you have this shared language and you understand the concepts, it just goes right to the core of the issue. You get to the root cause of your issues. You can smoke out issues and solve them, or you can prevent issues from happening, just by really understanding these, just a small set of simple, practical tools and concepts. It gives me a lot of joy to hear. Saving a lot of people a lot of heartache and a lot of money.
Let's talk about data.
Yeah. Let's talk about data.
No, so let's talk about the next component, which is data. So that sounds also scary. Because that sounds like, because again, I think the emotional reaction most people have in data, that's like, I already have data. I have so many data. I have so many reports. I have so many balance sheets. I have so many emails. Like, what do you want me? More data?
Yeah, exactly. And we're always telling them, just relax. You need probably less data. You need to get clear again on the handful of the most important numbers that are truly going to give you a pulse on whether your business is working or not working, because we can so go into data paralysis, especially nowadays. Data is at our fingertips. But when we have too much data, we're not focused on what really is going to drive the health of our business, then we can't make decisions. So it's really just, first of all, getting strong in data just means getting crystal clear on the handful of numbers that are going to give you a pulse on every area of your business and help you make decisions. If something is off track, if a critical number is off track, then you're going to be able to jump in and get it back on track, because you need to stay healthy. If you want to get where you want to go, you have to be healthy, right? You have to get there in a healthy way. You don't want to be left at the end of the quarter going, oh my God, I didn't realize that because I had so many numbers, but that one was, buried in there somewhere. So it's the exercise of getting crystal clear on what those handful of critical numbers are. And it's on the company level and on the department level as well. So you just have a pulse, what's working and what's not working. That's really what it is.
If I understand, if I understand correctly, so not just that's my understanding of when reading the traction book and also listening to you. It's not so much about the data, and it's so much about your objectives and the numbers that represent your objective, or at least the numbers that are leading indicators to your objectives. So, just for example, if my objective is to make X revenue, I want to get to $10 million in revenue, and I know, and then let's say my sales team has to do 50 calls a day. Right. So that would be my limit. And then I need to make sure I'm tracking my revenue, I'm tracking my calls. Is that a good simplification of what you're describing?
Yes, we do encourage, we strongly encourage to try to focus on the leading indicators versus the lagging indicators, because you don't, like I said, you don't want to get stuck at the end going, well, we didn't hit the result, but why? Like, why didn't we hit it? If you're really focused on the leading indicators that get you to the result, then you're going to know already. You're going to be focused on the right things. We're not making enough calls over here, or we're not sending enough proposals, or we're not doing enough of this. We're not building enough of that. Whatever it is, you're going to know. You're not going to be surprised at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year that you didn't hit the number, because you're focused on the activities, the most important activities that lead to the number. Yeah, that's part of the art and the science.
So how do you know?
What was your question?
So what is the art of the science? Like, how do you know? So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm saying like okay, I'm like, my revenue is not consistent. I'm not sure quite sure why. How do I go through the process of saying it's like, how do I, don't fool myself, don't let my team fool themselves, and kind of get to that process of saying, those are the things I need to measure and kind of manage against.
It's a great question, and it takes some trial and error, quite honestly. The starting point is to get clear on what it is that you want. Okay? What is the result that you want? Everybody should be aligned and clear on that. And then it's going through a process of asking yourself questions. Okay, so if I want that, then what do I need to do? Okay, what's the last thing I need to do? It's like kind of like going backwards. That's the result. Okay, in order to get that result, what do I need to do right before that result comes in? And then in order to get that, then what do I need to do in order to do that? To try to reverse engineer your way into that result. If that doesn't help you, then you can actually start from the beginning with step one. Okay, if that's what I want, then what are all the things that I need to do to actually get there? What are the major steps of getting there? And then figuring out, okay, well, how many times do I have to do this? How many times do I have to do that? How many of this? And you can go that way as well. But it's trial and error. It usually takes a few months before companies really love their scorecard. And every quarter, the truth is that, I'm running my own business, and, every quarter I change a measurable slightly, or I'll add, or I'll subtract something from my scorecard, because it's either just part of a process now, and it's not what I need to look at every single week to make sure that I'm on track. I'm looking at something else now that I need to look at to make sure I'm on track. So that's what I'm saying. It's the art and science of it. You have to feel it out. What is your quarter? What do you need to do this quarter? Where does your focus need to be? So that's a scorecard. It's
so can you give us Can you give us an example of a company that, again, like a company that went through this process and maybe even had a surprising revelation on the numbers they need to be tracking and the data they need to be measuring?
Yes, a lot of tech companies, these are companies that really are good with generating data, and can really fall into data paralysis. So we ask a question. I had a client who, just had so much data, and especially in marketing, and marketing was like, why are we doing this? I have, my scorecard. I don't call it that, but I have it already. I know what everybody's doing. I know all the numbers, blah, blah, blah. And, when I just asked the question, well, can you predict your performance? Can you predict the result at the end of the quarter by looking at these numbers? Can you predict which person is actually, leading to the number or help, or, preventing you from getting anywhere? Is it giving you a pulse on who and what is working and not working at all times? Those questions, the answer to those questions were no. So it was just this exercise of like, okay, what are the most important numbers? So they got down to like 15 from something like 50 or 60, right? And we started to just divide, okay, those numbers over there, those activities over there, that's important for that team over there. But for the leadership team on the company level, we only really need these like 6 numbers. And then we're good. And then on the department level, we can look at these numbers. What is it that we need to? So, that particular company felt so free after doing this. They were resistant. It took a little, questioning. Is it helping you make decisions? Is it helping you understand who's performing and who's not? Is it helping you predict? Once I started asking those questions, it was started to get easier for them to filter the numbers that they really needed to look at. And then once you do that, you do less and you're looking at less and your focus is on less, then you can make better decisions, quicker decisions, and it really frees you up to do more of what you need to be doing.
Amazing. So, you know what? Peter Drucker, which I think is the godfather of management consulting, he had this famous saying that says, "What gets measured gets managed." And I don't know, this kind of resonates for me with that. It's very prevalent. It's like what you measure gets managed, and it goes both ways, because it's a short sentence, but it's a very interesting sentence, because it means, yes, what I'm measuring, I'm going to manage, but also what I decide to measure is the thing that's going to
exactly. And you can't
and
do it all. You can't measure it all. You can't manage it all. It's impossible. So if you're not going to manage it, if it's not really worth your time to focus on and manage, and why are you measuring it?
Then don't.
Don't.
Yeah. Don't.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. So I think we talked vision, we talk people, we talk data. So know where the heck you want to go. Make sure that the people that are on the bus with you are the right people and sitting on the right seat in the bus, and then like make sure that the panel on your bus, you're measuring what's important, that you're not running out of gas, but the GPS is taking you where you want to go. So okay, so we did it. We know where we're going. We have the bus full with the people we believe that are the right people in the right seats of the bus, and we have our dashboard. Now, where does issues come into play?
Right.
How does the components of issues come into play?
Right. Then there's an accident on the road, right? And all of a sudden you're stuck in traffic.
Just one accident?
Multiple accidents on the road, multiple red lights you were not anticipating whatsoever. You need more gas. How did we not know that we needed more gas? Right? That road's closed. We have to now turn this way. We had no idea that road was closed. What happened over there? There's construction. Just, stuff happens. Stuff happens that we can't control. It's out of our control. So we need to be able to solve those issues when they come, as they arise. And some of those issues we don't need to worry about them right now. Okay, yeah, that's an issue. Yes, totally. It's an issue, but not for now. So you need to be able to understand what is for now and what is not for now. Right? What is it? And it's really about the destination. For this, we do it one quarter at a time. We call it the 90-day world. We're creating a 90-day world where human beings really do have, as studies apparently show, that we have the ability to focus intently on a goal or a destination in 90-day sprints or a spurt, right? At the end of 90 days, we sort of lose focus. So when issues come across our desk and we're all busy, right? We're all crazy busy during the day. Issues come across our desk. What most people do is stick a Band-Aid on it. Just quick fix, get it out of my face. I don't want to deal with it. Or they ignore it, or they'll just pretend it's not there. They'll deny it. And, and then you've got like all these issues underneath a rug in the dark. We always say, Gino Wickman, the founder of EOS, is very, very, well known for saying that issues are like mushrooms. You keep them in the dark and they are just going to multiply and grow. So we just have a system of asking ourselves, okay, is this a short-term issue for this current 90-day period? Do we need to deal with it in this 90-day period? Or can this wait for the next 90-day period? So we have a system of managing issues with what we call an issues list. It's just an ish tool called the issues list. And we manage issues lists on the company level and the department level. And it's just this way of really like keeping our issues in the forefront and managing the ones that, do I need to figure it out this quarter or can it wait till next quarter? And that's the first thing. It's like not denying your issues. That's just rule number one. Stop denying that you have issues. Stop putting Band-Aids on your issues, because a company that is held together with Band-Aid is going to implode. It's not going to work for the long term. You're not going to be sustainable long term if you're held together by Band-Aids. Impossible, right? So that's the first thing.
And let's be empathetic a second to the people, because I can be empathetic myself. The issue is, right? The issue of issues is it's painful.
Yeah.
Right? It's painful. So it's very natural to say, like you go like this and you say, I just don't know how to deal with it at this second in time. So I'm just going to ignore it. But basically what you're saying is you look at it, stare into the abyss, and make a decision. Do I have to deal with it in the next 90 days? Right? If I do, it has to go into my to-do list, like my master to-do list.
My short-term issues.
I might say it's a real issue. My short-term issue is this. Okay, but if it's a real issue, but I don't know, it's a regulation that's going to change in 5 years. Make a conscious decision and say, okay, I'm going to deal with it beginning of next year, and just plan for it.
That's right. And that goes on your long-term issues list.
Is that kind of fair mental gymnastic?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it works. Absolutely. There's so many issues that come up that you don't need to deal with right now. It's not part of the focus. It's not part of what you need to focus on. Focus. It's a disciplined type of focus. If you want to get where you want to go, then you need to be focused. If an issue comes your way that will distract you from what needs to be focused on this quarter, then you put it on your long-term issues list. That you don't forget about it. You put it there. It's there waiting for you, because you do have to deal with it, just not now. But then if you have these 2 issues lists, you've got all these issues and it's great, then you have to get them off the list. That's the second part of being strong in the issues component. You have to actually solve these issues. But I want to just comment on your comments about die trying, right? The pain, right? The pain of these issues. I just want to comment on that because some issues are very, very painful, and especially the people ones, especially the people issues, right? But it's not a but, it's an and. I always encourage my clients to look at issues as just unemotional things, right? An issue doesn't have an emotion. It's just an issue. People have emotions. We are the ones, who have emotions. People have emotions, but issues don't. Issues are just issues. If you have a mindset of this is just an issue, then it makes it so much easier, so much less painful to actually solve the issue. You sort of remove yourself a little bit from the emotion of it. This is just an issue. And as a leader of your organization, your job is to continue to move this business forward, right? You have to solve issues. You have to solve them. You can't not. It's your job, right? So it's just an issue. That's the first thing. A second thing that I encourage my clients to remember is that there are always 3 decisions that you can make with any issue. You could decide to live with it, to change it, or to end it. So if you're removed from the emotion, and those are your options, your 3 options, let's say you decide to live with it, you've discussed it, right now, we're going to decide to live with it, then great, move forward, live with it. But when you get to the point where you can't live with it anymore, then maybe you have a different, set of options. Are we going to end it or are we going to change it? Again, it's just an issue. Are we ready to end it or change it? Right? And then ultimately, to help with that decision-making process, my question is always, are you choosing long-term pain and suffering or short-term pain and suffering? Because going back to your comment, some of these things are painful. They're painful. So what kind of pain are you choosing?
Yeah.
What kind of pain are you choosing? Right? If
Yes.
you choose to live with an
The
issue,
short-term pain over long-term pain.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What are you actually deciding? What are you giving yourself here? So, all of these are mindsets to help you solve issues.
So I would add something because I really agree. And by the way, it's easier said than done. So let's
Oh,
also
100%.
be, because it's like, it's always, there's, I've heard, there's this, have you ever heard of a Salomon paradox?
No, what's that?
Based on King Solomon, who's supposed to be very wise, is that people are much wiser looking at other people's problems. So apparently there was this study where they interviewed entrepreneurs. They gave entrepreneurs the same problems just by changing some of the identification details. And the problems they were stumped on, they solved for somebody else. Okay? Because the pain, the emotion thing was
Right.
detached.
Right.
So it's like, it's an interesting thing, but it's an interesting thing that, like, we're much wiser
Yes.
looking at other people's problems
Yes. When you're
than our own.
objective, right? Objectivity really does enable clarity much faster. When you're in it, and you're feeling it, it's very hard to get clear on what the thing is, what the issue actually is, and then how to solve it. What's the best way out of it? So yeah, that's why it's just starting with that mindset of, remember, this issue is emotionless. It is just an issue. Try to remove yourself as much as you possibly can before you dive in and try to solve it. But we have a whole, I think it's.
There's this book.
Go ahead.
No, please. No, please. You have a whole.
Yeah, we
No, you have a whole.
we have a way, we have a specific process, a thought process to go through as you're solving your, in order for you to solve your issues. We call it IDSing. It is a very big thing in EOS. A lot of people really resonate with this. It's kind of like, it turns into a verb, like you want to go Google something, go Google it. So when people have issues, we just say, let's IDS it. IDS stands for identify, discuss, and solve, right? So the first part of it is really identifying the root cause of the issue. Remember, it keeps that objectivity. It helps you stay detached from the emotion of the issue. What is the real issue? What issue are we dealing with here? And let's look back at the 6 key components, because the issue is somewhere in there. We've either got a vision issue, a people issue, a data issue, we've got a process issue, we've got an execution issue. What is this issue? Maybe we have multiple issues, but let's first identify what the real issues really are. Because if we don't, then we're just going to be discussing and not really getting anywhere. And next week, we're going to be back discussing it again. So let's get crystal clear on what this issue is. Let's identify the real issue. Then let's discuss the real issue. Okay. And once we've fully discussed it, all the information's on the table, we've all had a chance to say what we need to say without politicking, then we move to solve, where we make a decision. We make a decision to make this thing go away, right? So it's this process of keeping objectivity and keeping crystal clear on what you're actually dealing with, so that you can come up with the right solution and not be back next quarter or next month or whenever it is having another discussion about what you think is the issue. But managing your issues with issues lists and IDSing them is going to really move your business forward fast, and help reduce a lot of the pain of running a business and dealing with all these issues.
Yeah, and what this reminds me a bit is the theory of constraints, which was popularized by the book The Goal by Eliyahu Goldratt, if I remember correctly. Do you know of it?
No, tell me.
Have you heard of this?
No.
So it's a product. I mean, it's a managerial book that came out in the 80s, if I remember correctly, very oriented about production. The theory in it, and it kind of approaches the same thing from a different perspective, from a production flow point of view, is that before you put any resources, find out where the constraint is, right? And of course, the constraint can be people, can be process, can be idea, like definitions, kind of the thing. But it takes a look at it from the point of view of a process. So, for example, let's say the packaging machine is broken, right? So if you look at without look, the problem is we're not delivering orders, right? That's the problem, right? Like that's the problem, right? The problem, the symptom, the thing that management comes in, we're not delivering orders. Okay, so okay, whatever. So people are lazy. There's not enough materials. We don't have enough team people working in the plant. But if you go and you identify that it's the packaging issue, you say, okay, let's first. Okay, then again, you have to say why is the packaging issue? It's because we don't have enough packaging machines, because we don't have enough people, because we have one type of packing and 10 SKUs and they don't match. It can, of course, it can become complex, but it's basically try to solve that first. You solve it first, and then you go to the next constraint. So it's same concept, but from a production, from a production form.
Yeah, beautiful.
And that's like the theory of constraints.
Beautiful, absolutely. Right. But it's a process. You see, it's a process, and it's let's say, thinking.
Yeah, it's a process. It's a process. Yep. Yeah. I think the only the differentiation between I guess and it's not a actually it's not it's the nuance. It's that when you IDS, right, an issue, first focus on the constraint, and hopefully that will lead to understanding if it's a vision, people, data, process, what issue, what kind of issue it is.
Right. But it also helps you IDS.
So let's talk about.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Please. No. Please. No, you're being too polite, Esther. No, come on. What did you want to say?
No, I don't want to be repetitive. I think it's fine. Let's move on.
Sure. So, but it's the thing that you leave. So let's talk about process. Let's talk about the fifth component, process.
Yeah. Right. So every business has its unique way of operating, right? And you do what you do uniquely in order to be the best in the world, right? But you do a certain number of things repeatedly over and over and over again in order for you to be the best in the world. So the process component is just getting you clear on what those main pieces of work are that you need to do the right way and the best way every time so that you can be the best in the world. You can be the best at what you do. Entrepreneurs, they say to themselves, I can't be caged down into process. I gotta just do things my way. I know how it should be done. Like, I don't need a process. But they don't realize that they actually do follow a process. They just haven't clarified it, articulated it clearly, and shared it with others so that they can also follow the process and also, do the right work the best way every time. The entrepreneur, there's like this myth, we don't like process. But we do. As entrepreneurs, we actually do. We have to go through a certain process in order to build something. We are process-oriented people. We just we talk about constraints. We don't want to feel constrained by a process. So it's sort of getting rid of that mindset of we don't need these things, realizing actually we do them anyway. Let's do them right. Let's make sure everyone does them right so that we can just move smoothly. Let's try to create a well-oiled machine around here. So that's what the process component does. It helps you understand what are the biggest pieces of work that need to be repeated and done well by everyone so that you are a well-oiled machine. You're creating consistency. You can create scale. You can get the results that you want every time, right? Let's just be clear on what those things are and get everybody who's part of doing that work crystal clear on their part of it. Right? Because if one piece of it breaks, then the whole thing can break. So that's process. That's process component. We call it getting your core processes documented and then followed by all. And this is a big piece of work. but
But
we keep it simple.
but in the core of it is documentation, training, and reinforcement. Is like in the gist of it. Or am I
Yeah,
missing something?
I would say there's two things. There's three things. Sorry, documentation, simplification, and then what's the word? I mean, followed by all is it's a process in itself. It's having your eye on the process, making sure that it is working at all times. That's followed by all. That includes training your people. That includes managing them. It includes measuring compliance with the process. Is it still working? Are we getting the results? And then updating them, because as you grow, your processes are going to break. It's just a natural thing. And so it's this followed by all is a process in itself. It has to be, that's your well-oiled machine, right? The input has to go in all the time, and it has to go around, and it has to continue. But one of the steps that I think people really miss is the simplification part, right? Because we do what we do. We've done it for 10 years. Simplification. How is it that when we start to document a process, we start to remove ourselves, get a little bit more objective about what this work should look like.
Yeah.
And then we can start to see places where we can simplify, automate, eliminate, to make our work smoother and better, faster, right? That whole simplification thing is a huge value add that comes out of actually taking the time to document it, to observe the behavior, document it, and then really take a look at it. Hey, is there a way to do this easier, simpler? Can we eliminate these steps over here? Maybe this is too expensive the way we do this. How can we dumb it down so that it's just smoother? That's the work of the process component.
And I think every entrepreneur has that experience, especially if they ran a company for, let's say, even more than a year. But one day they walk into quote unquote the room, or they have a discussion, and they go, "You're doing what? Why are you doing this? I mean, why is it being shipped back and forth and only then getting to the client?" And somebody says, "But that's how we did it since I came in here." Came in here, or something like that. And as a founder, you're very frustrated. It's like, this doesn't make sense. Because it's possible if it was a month that in the Christmas season they had to ship it to the location before the reach, and that became a process, and nobody ever questioned it.
Exactly.
Nobody questioned it again. That's the thing. So that happens.
Such a beautiful example.
And I think
for the work.
Yeah.
It's a must.
I don't. Do you have a very surprising? Do you have a very surprising example that the company discovered basically documenting and trying to simplify the process?
I actually do, but it's also a vision issue. I have a client who was starting to document their processes, and as they were going through the steps, realized that they were doing an entire body of work, was like a legacy type of work. It had nothing to do with the current vision of the organization anymore, and found so much capacity, found so much money that they could save. And they were like, oh my gosh, we're not doing this anymore whatsoever. We're getting rid of this entire process. It was like a whole division of their company. It was an operational core process. Once they had clarity, it made it so much easier for them to say, this doesn't fit. This just doesn't fit with what we do anymore. We don't want to invest these resources into this process anymore. Bye. And the next thing you know, they were so much faster, so much clearer on really where they were going to go. They were able to move all their people around. They were able to restructure and focus. The growth was unbelievable. It was amazing. Just by doing that exercise, let's document the processes.
With that very success. Yeah. And again, to anybody that this sounds weird, how is that possible? It is. It's like, because things have inertia, and it doesn't only happen in companies with hundreds of people. It happens in companies with tens of people.
That's right.
I think Sergey from Google.
The CEO.
So I think there's a quote from the CEO of Google in the very early days, which kind of I remember because I was experiencing it. He said, every time you double your company, things break. Every time you double your company, and I found it's true when you go from 1 to 2. It's true you go from 5 to 10. It's from 15 to 30, from 30 to 60. Every time you double, your behavior, your culture, your capabilities,
Yeah.
your infrastructure basically breaks, and you need to
Yes.
re-
Absolutely. That's
right.
great wisdom. That's so like Google to put a number on it, to the double number. I always have in my mind, as you grow, things are going to break. What was possible with a few people or a small operation is not going to be possible anymore. You have to do things differently. You just can't do the same thing over and over again as you grow. It's not going to work. But I like that. I like that double thing because it keeps your mind. But the way that what I see a lot with my clients on their issues list, I see a lot of process issues. No matter if they're doubling or not, it's very easy to not look at the process component and say this is really the issue here. We want to look at the person. There maybe they're just not in the right seat, or they're not. We hired the wrong person here. But wait a minute, 1 second. Did you train them? Did you actually train them how to do the job right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything to measure their compliance with doing the job right? Are you sure this is a people issue? What is your when I ask the question, well, what does the process say? That's all. I just ask the question. Well, what does your process say?
Mm-hmm. And
I,
they go,
I
what process?
I don't
They
know.
go, what process?
What process? I'm like,
What
do you
process?
need a process?
Yeah.
Do you need a process? We need a
Guilty as
process,
charged. Guilty as
right?
charged.
It's normal human,
Exactly.
but just make sure that a good percentage of your issues on your issues list could be process issues.
And I would add to that something again from my personal experiences, because you said process, you said training. I would add that even on a very basic level, it's also setting expectations. Because I know process sounds very daunting to people. What I'm going to start documenting, I have only two people, 5 people, 10 people on my team. Who the hell is going to document? And training? Oh my God, what is that? Maybe I can do one training a month. Okay, I'll try, but I have an hour. What can I train in an hour? But even if you put that aside, sometimes it's just setting the expectations. Okay, because it's like, okay, if it's important to you for people to be on time on meetings, did you state?
That's right.
It's important that everybody starts the meeting on time.
Yes.
Okay, because maybe this person came from a company that was not in expectations, and it's not that they can't do that.
Yeah.
But there was not an expectation.
Absolutely. This is a major.
Thing, it's like that.
Absolutely. The expectations are actually part of the documentation. They need to be part of the documentation. That's part of it. It's like, what is the major step? Yeah. What does that major step entail? Whose job is it to do it? How do they need to do it? Like what platform, what tools, whatever. And what result is expected from that step? That's part of being crystal clear on the process. Setting, what's the expectation throughout the whole thing from start to finish.
I know, an association I have, but I think it amplify this. Are you familiar with chicken filet? Chicken filet?
Chick-fil-A?
The fast food restaurant?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A. In America?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A. Chicken.
For
Chick-fil-A.
sure.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A. Yeah, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
So they have an expert. So Chick-fil-A, very successful, very successful
franchise
fast food company. From what I understand, that they make significantly more money and more revenue than McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, which is interesting by itself. But they seem to have taken the sets of expectations and processes to the next level. Is that, for example, the expectation is that you say, if you don't say you're welcome, you don't, if you say my pleasure. And the expectation from a worker in Chick-fil-A is say my pleasure, right? Now, what I find interesting, very interesting, is that we're taking the time to basically train and set the expectation to say to the people to say, not, you can't say you're welcome. It's not enough to be polite. You need to say my pleasure,
Right.
because there's a higher level
Yep.
of customer touch. And of course, it's interesting. The fact is, we're talking about it, we're getting free advertisement. But beside that, what does it mean about a company that takes the time to say, don't operate automatically.
Right, 100%.
Don't
This is
operate automatically. And
great.
I find that fascinating.
Me too. And it goes back to the people component a little bit as well. Like when these are leaders who are creating an intentional culture, who are very, very intentionally designing the culture that they want in the organization, because they know that a healthy culture leads to big results. So they're, whatever they do on whatever stage of the process they're in, they have intentionality in it, infused in everything that they do. And that's exactly why Chick-fil-A is so incredibly successful. It's amazing. It's an amazing company. I believe they run on EOS. There are many Chick-fil-A franchises that run on EOS. Yes, indeed.
That's interesting. Interesting. So you see, and I didn't know that, and I brought that as an example. Okay, yeah. So we talked vision, we talked people, we talked data, we talked issues, and we IDS'd them. And then we said process, document, train, set expectations, and go through that intentional process of deciding that intentionality of what your expectations from the organization. And now we get to traction. The element that vision without it is just an acid trip. So what is traction? What is traction?
That's right. It's the antidote to the acid. Traction is execution. Okay. It's a way, what are the main things that are going to keep you focused, disciplined, and accountable to achieving the vision, right? So it's all about focus, discipline, and accountability. There's two things that we really emphasize here in traction. If you get these things right, then you are going to achieve your vision. Number one is creating a 90-day world, right? I spoke earlier about how we lose our focus after 90 days. So every 90 days, we have to come together as a leadership team and get crystal clear on what our priorities are for that quarter, so that we can go focus execution for 90 days on our most important priorities. Okay, we call those rocks. So every 90 days, we come together, we set rocks. We look at the vision. Okay, here's where we want to go. And then we break it down, we reverse engineer, we look at our 1-year plan. If this is what we need to achieve this year, then what do we need to absolutely focus on this quarter? Let's go do it and do it well. Those are rocks. And then within that 90-day world, you have to stay on the same page. You have to make sure that things are on track. You have to make sure your numbers are okay. Your priorities are on track. Your people are doing what they need to be doing, right? So that's your meeting pulse, just how these human beings can come together and connect, stay aligned, stay on the same page, solve issues, and keep pushing, keep moving forward. That's traction. Make sense?
So why do we need? Yeah, it makes sense. But let me again push back. Like if I'm looking, why do I need that traction component? Because hey, I have my vision. I have amazing people. I'm tracking individual leading indicators.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having all my issues, and I've documented. Everybody knows what to do. Right. So why do I need traction? Like, why is everything else not enough? Like, what is that? Like, why do I need that? Why not just 5 components? Why do I need the 6 components?
It's such a great question, and I think so many of us, we ask ourselves all the time. We don't realize that we've actually had a traction issue our whole lives, until we start looking at it this way. The best example, that we give is, just imagine your team. You have a company who builds roads, and right now your gig is to build a road through a jungle, right? You got to get from one end of the jungle to the other end of the jungle. So you're going to hire a bunch of very strong people, and you're going to give them big machetes or saws or whatever it is, so that they can start cutting down the trees in the jungle to build this road. And as they're going and they're chopping and they're cutting, right? And the trees are falling, and you lose your way. You're just cutting, you're going. You got your head down, you got your foot on the pedal all the way. And the next thing you know, your road is over there and not over there where you needed it to be. Right? We lose track. We just get off track. We have our head down. We think we're focused. We're working hard. We're spinning. We're going home tired. But if we're not actually executing in a straight line, we could be executing in a circle or in a zigzag and really never get where we want to go, or get there eventually. How much time and energy and effort and resources did we just waste on trying to get there? So it's all about the focus, and the discipline, and the accountability to get from point A to point B, not to point A2, not to point X. It's to B. So this 90-day world, it's this very genius, simple concept. If you're that team cutting the road in the jungle, if somebody at one point doesn't climb a tree and look down on where they're cutting, right, then that road's zigzagging for sure, because they can't see where they're going. So every 90 days we climb a tree, right? We just, metaphorically, we climb a tree and we look down. We look down metaphorically. Say, thank you. Metaphorically, we look down and we see what the business is doing. How is execution going? Is it on track or is it off track? We have to stay on track. So that's what traction is all about. Every company is executing. They're executing hard. They're working overtime. They're tired, but are they really getting where they want to go? Are they really getting the result that they want to see? That's what traction's all about. It's not about you're not working hard enough. It's, are you doing the right work? Are you going in the right direction? That's what it is. We see a lot of
I think
traction.
it's actually a good segue to plug in the US book.
There it is. It is. Traction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here it is.
It's all there.
Because in the end of the day, that's where you want to get to. Right?
It is. It's all about traction. Otherwise, it's a hallucination. It's that acid trip.
It's an acid trip. You said that. If not without traction, it's an acid trip. So Esther, we're coming close to the end of a fabulous conversation here. So I'm going to play the devil advocate one more time, okay? And so I'm an entrepreneur, okay? And me and people I know, okay, I'm busting my balls. I'm working hard. I'm doing sales, people. I am working till midnight, and then crying between midnight and 2 a.m. and all those things. And I say, okay, I understand it. It seems wonderful. It looks great, but who has the time for this? Who has the time for this? Maybe when I'm bigger, maybe when I have 200 people, I can put something in this. Like, how do I do it? I feel so overwhelmed right now. Even reading the book, not to mention starting to implement, sounds to me crazy. How do I do it?
I'm going to say two things, okay? First of all, if you're so overwhelmed, something's wrong. Something's wrong. You gotta stop.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong. Get off the treadmill, get off the hamster wheel, stop and ask yourself, like, is it working? Am I actually getting what I want? Mm-hmm. Is this working? Be honest, okay? It starts with some openness and some honesty and some vulnerability, just with yourself. That's first of all. If you're not honest with yourself, then continue. Have a great life. You don't need EOS. You don't need, if you're happy, you're getting what you want. You don't mind crying in the middle of the night. There's nothing that I can help you with. Traction's not going to help you. EOS is not going to help you. So just get off the hamster wheel and just be honest with yourself. That's first of all. Okay. Second of all is I honestly never convince anyone to just give it a try, just see how it goes. I'm not in the business of convincing anyone to do anything. I cannot want it more than they do. Okay. I know what it looks like to run a business, to run a well-oiled machine, getting what you want, going home happy. Okay. Whatever it is that you want, you decide. I know what it looks like to actually do that. I've experienced it myself. I help others do it. I see it all the time. I see it every day, and it's a beautiful sight. But can't want it more than anyone. I can't want it more than they do. So if they want it, it's going to work. Otherwise, they have to be ready. They have to be ready. They have to be ready to stop taking the acid.
So, and again, for me and my interpretation, going back to the beginning of our conversation, when the pain and the frustration, okay, or the understanding of its existence, right, is so much bigger than my sense of self, habit, ego, whatever it is, right, we usually drive action.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
Okay, so somebody's listening to this. I am convinced. Okay, I'm convinced. I'm still overwhelmed. Right.
Yeah.
I'm still overwhelmed. I'm still trying to get get balance and juggling my business, my people, my vision, all those things. I'm trying to do my best right now. What is the first immediate thing you recommend somebody to do to start?
Besides get off the hamster wheel and ask the hard questions? You mean after that? After they do that?
But what does it mean? Like, I'll just say I'm literally on a hamster wheel right now. I'm convinced I'm gonna get up, but I don't know what questions to ask. So what do I do? How do I start? What's the first thing, like that one first step of 1,000 steps you suggest entrepreneurship?
I suggest asking yourself the question, am I really getting what I want? Am I getting what I want from my business? Truly and honestly, am I getting what I want? If you can't answer the question, it might be that you don't know what you want. So then ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want? It's all about that. What is it that I want?
Okay.
Do I want a self-running business? Do I want to just get this to a certain point where I can sell it and do something else because I'm a builder and I just want to build? Do I want to make a massive impact over here and therefore and dedicate my life? What is it that I want? Do I want to be an entrepreneur and a dedicated, family person? What is it? What do I want for my business, for my life? That's really where it starts. If you know what you want, then you can go back to the question, am I getting what I want?
Yeah. And I think Alice in Wonderland, the book. There's this scene where she meets the Chester cat on a crossroad, and she asks him which path I should like, if a left or a right, and he says, "Where do you want to go?" And he says, "I don't know." So she says, "What does it matter which path you take?" So that's kind of, even children's books tell us the same story.
Yes. Exactly.
Esther, it's been a pleasure.
Same here.
It's been a pleasure. I feel slightly wiser, maybe justifying the gray hairs I have on my beard.
You are a great entrepreneur.
Thank you very much. Can you tell people where they can find you? If people want to kind of reach out and find you,
Sure.
Where can you be found?
Thank you so much. EOSworldwide.com, the EOS Worldwide website. On there, it'll say, find an implementer. You can click on that. You can put my name in it, and it'll get you to all of my contact information. I'm also on LinkedIn. Just look me up on LinkedIn and connect there as well. That's it.
Thank you, Esther, for taking the time and sharing your hard-earned knowledge and experience.
It has been my great pleasure and honor.
Bye-bye.
Morning with you. Thank you, Haggai.
It's a wrap. This Haggai's podcast episode ends here, but you don't. Now, is it crazy to think that you know somebody who'd love this episode? Share it with them, and they'll love you for it.